What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about the difference between starting wide receivers and third string wide receivers. So we're going to be talking about all the things that some of the best wide receivers do in contrast to some of the things that wide receivers do that don't get the most play time. So I hope this is able to help you out. Let's get started. So first things first, you guys, let's start with the press stance. So anytime you come up to the line of scrimmage and you're facing a DB who is in press coverage, something that a lot of wide receivers who maybe don't get the most play time tend to do is they're not ready to fight with their hands. They line up and they get in this stance where their hands are crossed across their knee, maybe because they think it looks cool, and I get it, I understand it. You see a lot of NFL wide receivers maybe line up like this, but when they do this, it's always against a zone coverage or off-man coverage concept. If a guy's right in your face and press, your hands should not be X'd, your hands should not be down here below your knees. Your hands need to be relaxed. You should relax your shoulders, relax your traps. You don't want to be up here super tense because then you lose range of motion. You want to be relaxed, and I would say in between your chest and in between your belly button. That's where your hands should be. But you should be nice and relaxed, because when you're relaxed, it makes it easier for you to move your feet, get up into a release, but it also gives you more range of motion with your arms to combat a DB who is in press coverage. So don't be that guy, plays a ton of 7-on-7, always lining up like this, because when you get pressed and your hands are crossed, your hands are low, DB's going to pop you right in your chest. You got to go out before you go up, and that's wasted time, and that wasted time will have you get jammed off the line of scrimmage. Now, before we get into the rest of this video, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like a 2-month-long training schedule that you can follow this summer, go to that very first link in the description below for our elite wide receiver training package. It's 2 months of daily workouts for wide receivers in the gym and on the field, and we also incorporate speed and agility training to help you get faster. We map out every single workout that you should be doing on a weekly basis, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. We have video examples of each drill and each gym exercise and each speed exercise, and we give you the exact sets and reps to follow. So if you guys would like a strategic set schedule for you guys to follow, check out that very first link in the description below. Let's get back to this video. Now, one of the things you need to be the best wide receiver on your team most likely is speed in and out of your breaks. So one of the mistakes that I would say like backup wide receivers or receivers who are not as talented make is they use their feet to stop, then they drop their hips. Now, receivers who get in and out of their breaks fast, and these are breaks where you have to drop your hips like a curl, a comeback, a dig, whatever it might be in your guys' offensive playbook, they use their hips to stop first and then the feet follow after. That's that phrase like violent hip drop that you hear a lot of wide receiver coaches, myself included, say all the time. So let's talk about an example of a curl route, right? Let's say the quarterback's over to my left. This blue cone is where I have to break, and I got to break back to the quarterback. A lot of times what guys will do is they will step really hard with their feet to slow down, but they still maintain their, like, I guess you could say pad level or height, if you will, and they step, 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 and then they try to get out of the break. But guys, what gets you out of the break, or at least helps you make a sharp cut and a more explosive cut, is lowering your center of gravity to stop yourself. So instead of stepping hard, what you should be doing is you should be focused on bringing your chin right to your knee. You get to the break point, chin goes straight to your knee, because that level change will slow you down naturally, and then the foot placement can just follow after to eliminate extra steps and wasted time at the break. So guys, to get in and out of your breaks faster, you need to make sure that your hips are the thing that's slowing you down, not just your feet. Now, the next thing that I feel a lot of backup wide receivers tend to do, which causes them to be slow in and out of breaks, or they have to cut off of one foot, whether that's a speed cut or whether that's a route like a post or a corner where you're just doing that like single stick indicator cut, is the guys will reach for the cut and drag their back foot. Now, there are some receiver coaches out there that like swear by the drag. They say the drag is a great way for you to be able to come to balance. Most of those receiver coaches, though, have never played the quarterback position and understand that you dragging at the top of the break makes you significantly slower as if you were just to stick, open up your hip, and push out. So that's kind of what we're going to be breaking down here. So, like, let's say I got to run just a simple out route in this direction. Quarterback is over here towards my right, and I'm cutting off of my right foot. A lot of times what receivers will do is when they cut, they will reach, and the first part of your foot to hit the ground when you reach for a cut is your heel. So your toe starts to slap down, and your leg almost extends. So when your leg extends like this, what can't you do? You can't really push out of the break. So what ends up happening is guys will drag their back foot to kind of slow themselves down, bring them to balance, and then they get out of the route. But that drag, like I said, it slows you down, so it slows the amount of speed that you have in and out of the break. What we should be focused on, you guys, if you could just think about keeping your chest slightly ahead of your waist, not leaning back and reaching for the cut, and you were just sticking in the ground, and rather than dragging your back foot, and the only reason the guys drag is because their foot's outside of of their frame. If you just step down, keep your chest slightly ahead of your waist, the first part of your foot to hit the ground is going to be the ball of your foot. All you really have to do after that point, I call it opening the car door. You open up the door with your left foot and you push off of the right foot to get you in and out of the brake with little to no wasted time. So guys, that reach where your chest starts to lean back, that's why you're dragging your back foot. The drag is not needed. That's why, again, playing any type of position in football is all about, especially training for any type of position in football, is all about eliminating wasted motion and wasted time. We want to be more efficient, right? So to be more efficient on your cuts, you don't need the drag. The drag is a byproduct of reaching. So you need to focus on stepping down, keep your chest ahead of your waist, ball of the foot should hit first, whole foot could get down, but we push and open up to get me out of my brakes faster than if I were to drag. So now fellas, let's talk about selling cuts. So like if you're working a move at the top of the brake or even off the line of scrimmage, let's call it like just a simple crossover move where you're going here, fake inside, and then back to the outside. I think one of the mistakes that a lot of maybe not as talented wide receivers make is where their foot placement is on their like sell cut or the second cut of that crossover, right? So at the end of the day, guys, a DB, when he's guarding us man to man, sometimes even in zone, where he's looking at on us is our torso, more specifically my hips, right? So when I'm trying to sell a cut in this direction, and a lot of receivers know this, your hip is what sells the cut. It's not your head and your shoulders. It's definitely not your foot reaching out. It's your hip, right? You want to step like remotely far. You want to be here when you sell your cut, but your hip has got to go with the foot. Now, this is the mistake that a lot of guys make because I want to be able to lose the DB and then I want to be able to separate from the DB. So I want to set myself up to be able to drive and accelerate out of the brake as fast as possible. So what a lot of guys will do is when they make their first cut, going into their second cut, they try to sell it too much. And what happens is that their toes actually open up and their shin angle is almost going out towards in this direction. So it's very hard for me off of this cut to push and get out. So a lot of guys will take a lot of extra steps, which gives the DB time to recover. Route running is all about 3 phases. You have to be able to sell the route, you got to be able to have an explosive brake, and then you have to be able to accelerate to separate from the DB. If my brake is off, my acceleration phase is going to be off, even if you sell vertical perfectly. So what you want to try to focus on is your toes don't need to be completely straight, definitely don't want to be turned inward, but anytime I'm making a cut, my toes should stay forward and there should be weight on this inside arch of my foot. Like on the inside of this shoe, there's an Adidas logo. You should try to have your weight on that Adidas logo, and you see how my shin is at a positive angle. It's going in the direction I want to go. My hips turn, my upper body sells it, right? Not your head and your shoulders, more so your hips, but my weight inside arch of my foot, toes stay forward so I can push and drive out. I can still sell the cut the exact same way, but I'm able to get out of it fast. So make sure you're not that guy that oversells the cut and doesn't allow you to separate from a DB.